This is me, writer, photographer, and traveler extraordinaire. But I wasn't always like this. I used to have a job. That's right, I used to be an environmental scientist living in Alaska, but it wasn't enough. So I traded my suit and tie for a plane ticket, and I've never looked back. I've been traveling for almost a decade now, and since that time I've hiked amazing trails and bicycled across 12 countries. I've paddled Arctic water and climbed ancient glaciers. I've gone spelunking in Asia and horseback riding in South America. I've gone sailing through pirate-infested waters and surfing at the edge of the world. I've gone paragliding in Peru and explored waterfalls in the Philippines. I've seen amazing sunsets and breathtaking mountainsides. I've been a part of unique cultures and eaten strange, exotic foods. I've even listened to many different kinds of music. And of course, I've taken lots of photos along the way. Over the last 8 years, I've been to so many different places and seen so many different things, I thought it'd be a shame not to share it. So that's just what I did. So welcome and thanks for joining me, Cyle ODonnell, as I explore and research amazing places and cultures from all over the globe. This is no tourist video. I go deep into the jungles and find wild animals. I trek out to the faraway villages and see life the way people live there. I do what they do and go where they go. I eat what they eat and sleep where they sleep. I visit distant islands and climb steaming volcanoes. And I do it all because I'm the travel geek.
With a resident population of only 500,000 people, Macau certainly has a reputation for flair. Since 1991, when gambling was legalized with the dawn of new leadership, Macau instantly attracted new, wealthy investors. This naturally opened the doors to Western casino moguls, so it's no surprise that it's considered the Vegas of the East. Both Hong Kong and Macau share the ambiguous title of Special Administrative Region, allowing them to maintain their own monetary systems and standards of wealth while allowing the communist-run mainland to be simultaneously governed under the more common dictatorship of China. Depending on your interests, you can spend anywhere from just a couple of days to as long as your winning streak keeps you afloat. Though both Hong Kong and Macau are drastically more expensive than many other Asian countries, there's still lots of ways to travel cheaply. In contrast to Macau's small but sturdy population, Hong Kong covers an area of less than 430 square miles, but it has more than 7 million year-round residents. This number inflates to about 30 to 50% more during international conventions and peak travel season. I start my first day of the journey by landing at the Macau airport. From there I hop in a cab and head over to the cheapest mom and pop hotel I can find. Then I'll spend the day hitting the market and the village centers of Taipa. On day 2, I'll brave the world's tallest bungee jump at Macau Tower and head straight over to Hong Kong for a photo walk around the city. Once in Kowloon Bay, I'll enjoy splendid walks through the world-class area parks as I make my way to Nathan Road to check out the Chungking Mansions. I'll sneak in and film the underground merchants and head over to my favorite street market. After that, it's off to Hong Kong Island, where I'll ride to the end of the financial district on a double-decker bus and walk my way back for the complete tour. Days 3 and 4 will be spent back in Macau, visiting museums, going to the zoo, and taking late-night photos of the casino lights while navigating the maze-like colonial architecture of Portuguese influence. When they say mom and pop hotel, it takes on an entirely new meaning in Asia. And Macau is no exception. This particular hotel had low ceilings, sinking floors, and the water maintained one temperature. But the things that appeal to me when I travel include character, experience, and the smiling face of someone who genuinely wants you to stay there. And of course, as the corporate world grows, we can all appreciate keeping the money in the hands of the locals. This hotel was located right around the corner from the Best Western at the southeast corner of the northernmost island of Macau. It's called the Palace Hotel, though that's not the name on the sign. It sits in a great area if you want to explore the labyrinth-like alleyways of Macau.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. So I've just booked a room here at what looks like the Hospitaria. It's actually called the Palace. It's a nice little place. It's a mom and pop place. The one thing I like most about it though is it's not the Venetian and it's not the Hilton. And as you drive past these extremely wealthy world-class hotels, just kind of
want something with a little more color. This place is not listed in Lonely Planet. It's not listed in any of the other guidebooks. It's just a mom and pop shop. We just sort of luckily found out about it when we were talking to the custodian at the information kiosk at the airport. So anyway, right now we're going to be taking a short walking tour over to the other side. We're going to go see some craft markets and a couple other town markets and things. Here we go. What we've done today is come down to Taipa. We were on Macau before this. Macau, Taipa, and Cologne. And apparently the most amazing thing to see in Taipa is the Taipa City Market. So we're going to go over and check that out. Everywhere you look in all three regions of Macau, there's construction everywhere. It's very clear that they are done with the old and it's time for the new. But seemingly in this place, it's kind of slow paced. So we have people just kind of moseying through and you know, picking and shopping. The weather's great here, by the way. It's got to be like 75 or 80 degrees. Nice browsing weather. I love checking out the markets. There's nothing like the people, the amazing aromas, and the flavors are what really make alley walking interesting. People can be seen in their everyday lives. The tailors weave handicrafts and clothing, the shoers repair worn-out soles and sew on new leather, and the key makers file down keys without the use of any machinery. Of course, the moment that you step out onto the main streets, they have the touristy casino memorabilia and souvenirs as well. But the other amazing sight about the alleyways is that there's this amazing colonial era architecture and Portuguese influence, mixed in, of course, with the enduring old world Asian influences. Walking a little further, I found a nice restaurant and sat down for some lunch. Here we are at Gallo Restaurant. It's a Portuguese influenced restaurant in the heart of the market, and it's really interesting. They've got all this very Portuguese decor, but bamboo holding it up. It's an interesting combination of decor. The Portuguese came to Macau in the 16th century after attempting to expand trade routes beyond India and the Malay Peninsula. This, of course, led to the settlement in 1510. And since that time, the food has given this region a unique blend of Spanish, Portuguese, and Chinese flavors. It's also influenced the quaintness of the mom-and-pop restaurant feel. After I left the restaurant, I continued walking through the cobbled streets to the shore of an artificial wetland which created both a literally and a physically cynical gulf between the old, peaceful world and the new money that's changing the face of this country. So I think we're in what's called artificial wetlands, that's it. And it's odd. All of the structures behind us are sort of colonial era Portuguese influence. And, you know, beyond this artificial wetland, we should go that way, there's all the casinos and the New World construction. It's very odd. Okay, so we just got done with a walking tour that brought us all over the central region of Macau. And as you can see in the distance here, I think we're going to be headed over to the Galaxy? Go check out the casino, see what they had there. I've never been to a casino before. Personally, I find them very intimidating. It seems to me that there's a glaring contradiction in that they thrive on the addictions of others. In some cases, the people that support them may simply be desperate or feel that they have no more means to support their family than by the hope of easy money. Everything inside and outside the casinos is completely custom made with real marble and granite walkways. The windows are even made with real gold flake tinting. And as I was walking through this area, I saw just how aggressively they protect that money. While I was filming in this section, as secretly as I could, I was almost arrested when I was approached by 3 of the largest Asian men I'd ever seen. Not waiting for them to decide what to do with me, I took my exit and didn't return. Before I left, they started to ask me to delete my video, but thinking quickly on my feet, I switched over to the photo section of my camera, and it appeared that I had just snapped a couple of pictures. But through it all, the cinemas, the amazing shows, and the sheer size and scope of the spectacle of these places are certainly all part of the appeal for these grand and fulsome establishments. Not having the heart to do any gambling, I bought a ticket to the theater showing of The Hunger Games playing later that night, and then headed back to the hotel to rest up from my very active first day in Macau. So here I am at the Macau Towers. It's about 11 o'clock right now, about 5 till. And in about 5 minutes, I'm gonna go over to this building, which is the 10th tallest freestanding structure in the entire world. I'm gonna buy a ticket to the top, and then I'm going to jump off. At the observation deck, which is on the 60th floor, it's about 233 meters high. The website says it's got 50 meters or so of vertical free fall, and after that the bungee itself stretches 7 times its original length. Never bungee jumped before, and seeing as this is the world's tallest one, I guess I'm living up to my motto of if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. So let's go make it happen. It's discomforting knowing that I'm about to jump off that. That is totally insane. Everything inside my being makes me want to get off this piece of glass. Oh my god.
When there, you get the...
I think I started bugging the manager. I was doing everything I could to keep my mind off the fact that I was about to jump 60 floors over the top of this building.
You are your speed. So right now, I will give you a t-shirt.
T-shirt? I'm probably triple X or something in Asian size.
So please wear t-shirt, empty the pocket, okay? No watch, anything. Wear t-shirt and not hold the body.
Okay, so as far as the jump itself, how far is the free fall? How long is the free fall?
Around 4 to 6 seconds.
4 to 6 seconds.
And rebound 2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times rebound. And what's the...
So the bungee limit, for the weight required right here, 40 kilo to 120 kilo. So if the over or under, cannot.
Why would you be not allowed if you're under?
So because we are make the bungee cord only a 4.
So it would throw you.
Yeah, right.
And so I am.
All the policy right here, you get the safety.
So I weigh 115 kilograms. Okay?
It's okay.
So I'm not going to break the record.
No.
this point, I had more than enough information about the jump, the safety protocol, even the interesting facts about the company. Eventually, everyone realized that I was just stalling. It was time to suit up, man up, and do this thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright, so here's the changing rooms. I guess it's a point of no return, so throw on my very safe looking t-shirt from the Macau Tower bungee jumping extravaganza.
Just some short commentary before I roll the footage of the drop. I can honestly and unabashedly say that I was completely terrified looking down off that platform. Having already watched and photographed someone in freefall, I came to realize what I was in for. Looking down off the 58th floor literally made my knees weak. But it wasn't until I reached the platform itself that the real palpitations took hold. And there's a lot of waiting involved until you get to the platform. They have to bring the harness up and make sure everything's working, and the entire time, you're left to just wonder what the heck you've signed on for. It was probably the first time in my life that my brain was receiving messages from my eyes that I needed to panic and get away from this place as soon as possible. When my toes touched the tip of the ledge, I actually felt nauseated. There was absolutely nothing that could be done to remove the feeling of catastrophic terror pulsating from every nerve ending in my body. But, well, maybe I should just roll the footage and let the audience see for themselves.
As long as 6 seconds of your life. Alright, woo! Right, Cyle's in the house, 180 kg, alright.
Landing lobby.
Back? I'm sorry.
The moment of departure really tests metal. If my feet weren't strapped together, I don't think I would have been able to keep my legs still.
I don't want to let go.
Go ahead, take but you still attach it, so yeah. It's the hardest part.
Okay.
Alright, first time straight.
Okay.
Then wait with the rope. Yeah, then get to the right side.
Go on. And 118 is what I weigh with the harness and everything on. I'm literally, God, I'm shaking. Literally 2 kilograms shy of not being able to ride this, and they had to change the bungee just so I could ride down. If I had to look down and jump, I never would have done it.
The closest thing that I can offer the viewer to the experience of looking down over the ledge is this footage. But it still comes nowhere near the feeling as you lean in and feel the earth coming in at you with the force that would spill the innards of an elephant.
Okay, so here we are about to take a ferry ride over to Kowloon Bay in Hong Kong. I just got finished jumping off the world's highest bungee at 233 meters. We're headed over to Hong Kong to do some walking tours, some city tours, some filming of the sights. Did a couple of my favorite places, and we're going to be headed back over to Macau at about 10:30 tonight. Maybe I'll sneak out and get some late night shots of the casinos, all lit up and in their glory and splendor. And then tomorrow, I think it's a beach day. We're just going to be hanging out, not doing a whole lot. But that could change. We'll see.
The ferry ride over to Kowloon Bay is only about an hour. The waters are relatively peaceful, and the boat is comfortable and accommodating. Save for when you arrive and have to fight with the Asian mentality of queues, it's reasonably priced too, at around $40. There are helicopter rides for the ambitious, but they cost around $300 and last for only 15 minutes. But the best time to do this, I'm told, is in late September when the skies are more clear, and you can see the southern Chinese coast at its best. I've ridden ferries into Kowloon and Victoria Bays several times now, and no matter what the weather, the view is never lackluster. There's always something interesting going on, and the high-rise buildings contrasting the dark Asian water is always epic.
So here we are in Hong Kong. I just got done watching some flamingos across the park here. One thing I love about Hong Kong is the amount of parks and natural space. It doesn't feel quite as engineered and artificial as other places in Asia, but I mean, even over here there's waterfalls right next to just lush, overgrown stuff all over the place. Really amazing. The other cool thing to do in Hong Kong is sit down and eat one of the few things that I'll actually eat at McDonald's, a caramel toffee vanilla McFlurry. Not too bad on a nice warm day like today. Once I finish this, I'm just going to take a photo walk around my favorite parts of the Northern Island, which are, you know, the markets, Nathan Road. We're going to get in and see the Chungking Mansion. I'll probably stop and have some lunch at one of the markets, and later on we're going to take either a ferry or the high-speed rail that goes over to Hong Kong Island. Check out some of the really cool back alley shops and a couple of nice evening markets that are over there as well. So without any further ado, let's do this thing.
A note about Hong Kong's parks. They really spare no expense in creating as natural a feel as they can. Because when you share a city with this many people, I guess it's nice to get away, even when you can't get away. I decided to walk over to Nathan Road and take my hidden camera into the Chungking Mansions, something I've wanted to do since I first visited here. So this is the Chungking Mansions right across the street here. Last time I was here, all of the front end of it was bambooed, and they were doing some construction on it. And it appears that what they were doing was adding a jumbotron, something. At any rate, within this building, there are 4 sections, each one of which has, I believe, 16 floors of hotels, apartments, private businesses, all kinds of basically anything. The basement floor the first floor and the second floor where all the action happens. Trust me, there's a lot of it. I'm going to apologize in advance too about the shakiness of the video that I'm about to make because I'm going to have to hide the camera to walk around. So much cleaner than 6 months ago, the last time I was here. They closed all that off. I should probably say that the Chungking Mansions are among the most notoriously underground private spots. There are shady hotels, black and gray market vending locations, and some precarious nighttime festivities for those who seek them. During the day, you're not likely to run into any trouble, but at night when the tourists are gone and the shops are closed, the more nocturnal of creatures are about. Most of the inhabitants of this place are either addicts or foreign workers or illegals. Most of them simply are working to make money to send back to their home country. In other words, they're complete transients. How you doing?
Good. You want a SIM card?
I'd like to play the audio from the conversation that we got into here, but that might be best served for a different kind of documentary. Unlocked quad band phones and unofficial electronic goods that have been programmed to hijack and piggyback off the pay services undetected are all but thrown at every touristy visitor to this place. Nevertheless, this is par for the course for anyone who walks in here. There's no regulation of goods and services offered here, save for the continual bribing and under-the-table handling of the more unsightly issues that arise here. The book that best explains this, Ghetto at the Center of the World, was written by Chinese University of Hong Kong professor Gordon Matthews, whose anthropological studies of the Chungking Mansions spans years and likely hundreds of visits here. It's a highly recommended read, and it's printed by the Hong Kong University Press. Constantly under construction and historically known for failing from disrepair, the basement floors are a maze of pornography stalls and black market shops, but you're still hounded by people asking you if you want all manner of drugs and sexual propositions. The street level shops are where you can find restaurants, electronics, and bootlegged or even stolen designer watches. You can also find knockoff clothing and bags. If you attempt to rent a room here, they'll probably try and tell you that the rate is higher today or this week because of a trade show or something else that's going on in town. Don't believe them. Firstly, there's always a trade show or something crazy going on in Hong Kong. And secondly, it's a giant rat trap. Just keep going to different floors and asking around till you find something amenable. And bargaining is never off the table. When the sun goes down, it's probably best not to venture down to the bottom and underground levels. There are no rules when the lights go out. And if you're there, it's probably because you're trying to stay away from the rules in the first place. And the locals will feel compelled to treat you as such. Unless, of course, you're into that sort of thing. In which case, now you know where to go.
Okay, so that was pretty much the bottom floor. I walked in and took a sort of walk around. We ended up outside, because I didn't want to make it past. I think I got made by the big Arab scary guy. But at any rate, the last time I was here, there was a restaurant on this side that has, just basic Indian dishes and things. At night, it really kind of cranks up into something different. All of the shops closed down. The only thing left in there is activities of the undesirables. But everywhere else, immediately as soon as you get outside of it, it's very classy, very open and friendly, all that stuff. I'm standing here right next to a camera shop with all the latest stuff, and it's like that all the way down the strip. We're going to be headed north up here. We're going to be hitting a couple of markets, grab some food, and should be good.
Walking up Nathan Road is an adventure in itself. Every inch of storefront is abuzz with just about everything you can imagine. It's all for sale, and if you look in the right places, you can find just about anything you'd ever want. The market that I was looking for is about a mile up from the harbor. It's 1 or 2 blocks west of Nathan Road and continues north for at least another 8 blocks. This market is probably the best place to get great food. It's divided into sections, so you'll see art in one section, fashion in another, and ultimately the restaurants are located somewhere in the middle of this long stretch of souvenir tables and merchant stalls, except they place their tables right in the middle of the road, so you can not only become part of the action while you eat, you can keep your eye on the next thing you're going to buy after you're done. A note about some of the items that you'll see here. It might not matter at this point, but it's not advisable to buy anything that is, or was at one point, living and breathing in the jungle. This includes bugs, birds, bats, centipedes, monkeys, squirrels, snakes, just about anything else you can think of. While it's a cool idea to have one, and while it's amazing that they actually sell them here, remember that they were taken from their homes, caged, probably mistreated, and definitely not acquired out of the kindness of someone's heart. If you don't buy them, they will eventually not have a market, so do your part to safeguard the animals.
It's early yet, but this market usually gets pretty packed. There's music all over the place. There's lots of different restaurants and everything that are open along the way. And it's about, I think, 6 or 8 blocks long every night. It's not like a weekend bazaar, but it's definitely one of the better ones, especially near downtown area. So, all kinds of really cool artwork. Did you do these yourself? Yeah. Yeah?
So after grabbing a bite, I headed over to Hong Kong Island by way of one of the world's most amazing latticework of railways, the MRT, or Mass Rail Transit System. Don't let the MRT scare you. If you overthink it, it can be pretty intimidating. But if you spend a few minutes looking over map routes and rail lines, it reveals itself to be pretty easy.
Here we go.
Riding the subway in Hong Kong is truly an amazing experience. You rub shoulders with everyone from the punky, ultra-modern teens to the business elite. There's such a multifarious population in Hong Kong that anywhere you go where there's a large population of people, you're sure to find the highest density of that heterogeneous divergence. I've been to some hugely populated places, but I can honestly say that if you're a people watcher, Hong Kong is your mecca. This place has just about every face of culture and color you'd ever want to see. On the other hand, this is still Asia, so of course there's still that droid-like equipment and attire that undoubtedly bonds all major Asian hubs. For instance, the iPhone-twiddling, a la mode, suit-wearing Asian hipster. They're everywhere. But they're not alone in their love for electronics. I wager touch devices comprise at least 85% of the excuses Asians would give for not engaging or talking to one another on public transportation. Once over to Hong Kong Island, I engaged in one of my favorite pastimes, photo walking around the financial district. The lights and the people, the markets and the alleyways, it's like custom ordering a beautiful backdrop of amazing photographic opportunities. Among the world-famous structures in Hong Kong, climbing aboard the tram at the far west of the island will give you a grand view of some world-class architecture, and you'll get to see the city in all its splendor. If it's a clear day, you can see all the way to China. On the other hand, hopping aboard one of these city-strolling double-decker trolleys will afford you a worm's eye view of the world's most free economy, 15 years running. And because they run the entire length of the island, one might call it a budget city tour.
center of the financial district and standing in front of my absolute favorite piece of architecture in the world, hands down. It's really cool. It's called the Lippo Towers. There's two of them, and it's where you get your visa whenever you come.
I love this area, but no matter where you go on Hong Kong Island, you're going to have a good time in a relatively safe environment. It's a bit pricey, but there's plenty to see and there's always something happening. Hong Kong is not without its woes, however. It was recently downgraded by free press watchdogs who keep an eye on international news allowances for forthcoming media. After I finished the walking tour, I headed over to Agave restaurant for some Mexican food.
Well, here I am sitting at Agave, which is a wonderful Mexican restaurant right on the club strip on Hong Kong Island. Ordered a taco because the waiter said I couldn't have a taco salad. The jury's not in on what the food's like, so I'll give you my recommendation later.
The food wasn't spectacular, but it was a good attempt at continental mixed with Mexican. And it was plentiful, so after a long day of hiking the Hong Kong surrounds, it definitely hit the spot. A word about food in Hong Kong. For my money, just eat in Macau. It's richer, more agreeable, and they don't attempt to mimic Western dishes with the enthusiasm of Hong Kong. But if you're dying for a Western beer, it's definitely easier to choose your poison. After dinner, I boarded a trolley, took a subway, walked a few blocks, boarded the ferry, and took the taxi back to the hotel to rest up for another day in Macau. I had set aside today for a nice, relaxing tour of Macau, the way it should be seen. But because you can see the entirety of Macau and surrounds in a few hours, I decided to hop on random buses and see where they took me. Disembarking, I'd find myself walking around the thin, labyrinthine streets of the old town. I'd snap a few shots here and there at everything that looked culturally unique, and I came away with quite a lot. I didn't know where I'd end up, but Macau is the perfect place to do this kind of sightseeing. There's really no way to get lost, but even if you managed to do that, you could quite easily find your way back inside of an hour or so. And what's really important to note is that I also found out about the day pass to the museums in the area. An all-island museum pass can be purchased for $25 and includes the Grand Prix Museum, the Macau Wine Museum, the Maritime Museum, the Lin Zishu Memorial Hall, the Macau Museum of Art, and the National Museum of Macau. They don't allow filming or photos in many of these places, and since I've already tempted jail at the casinos, I figured I'd give it a rest. After a wonderful tour of some highly recommended museums, I headed to the Koloan Beach to relax and grab some of the famous custard pie. A word about custard pie. It's also called custard tart. It comes in every flavor from egg mint pie to vanilla cream, and you can find them in stalls all over the place. The one I tried made me want to eat something else.
Okay, so just arrived here in the South Beach. We got some spicy chicken. Here in Cologne, they have, they call it Koloan. Anyway, they have these spicy chicken meals here. And apparently you have to sit at the kiddie table to eat them. To make it look even smaller, I'm sure, than a regular Asian person sitting here. Grab the Gatorade. I'm going to walk up to the beach. It's not all that sunny. Of course, it is late in the afternoon. It's about 6 o'clock. And today, just walk all around the city doing some more photos and kind of enjoying the scenery. Not a whole lot of sun today, but I got some good shots of some cryptic buildings and things. So tonight I'm just going to head back up to the northern Macau peninsula and take photos of the casinos. Anyway, let's get walking.
I won't lie, the beach left a lot to be desired. Granted, it wasn't the sunniest day, and this isn't high tourist season. but the way things looked, it didn't seem like there was any room for any excitement. But Macau has other offerings. There's golf and gambling, and apparently there's even camping, which was reserved to a tiny plot just meters from the beach. Alright, so this is pretty much the only place you can camp on the entire island. I think even Hong Kong and Macau, that's about it. We've got these flat little spots here, and the cool part about it is that it is right on the beach, but at the same time, it's not very private. They don't look terribly comfortable. And right in the middle of the walkway, where we have noisy crates floating by. Anyway, if you want to camp here, that's where you're gonna want to go. So here I am at Fernando's, which is a Portuguese influenced restaurant. It's got some really good looking dishes. Unfortunately, their service sucks, the lines are long, and they don't really want you taking the menus outside or eating outside or doing anything outside, really. That's a much more comfortable and less antagonistic looking place to eat. In there is where they serve the food, but right beside it is this really nice circular bar. It looks like it's equipped for a hell of a party, but ultimately it's, I don't know, lacks a little bit in the service department. But as you can see, the outside's really nice. I mean, the trees are really cool and got a natural feel to it, but it's still got that sort of Asian flair, which is nice. And probably my favorite part about it is it's likely the one place in the entire town that's not commercialized and connected to a hotel or a casino of some type. I think I'm leaning toward Rolechas Red. The rulas recheadas, or stuffed squid. It wasn't a terribly uneventful day, but after the underwhelming experience at the beach, I wanted to head out and get some photos of the casino lights at night. And since the casinos never closed, I was in for a treat. It was really nice weather to walk around in as well. So here I am on my last day in Macau and Hong Kong, and last night was really nice. Did a photo walk through all the casino areas. It was really cool. Today I'm on the hunt for the giant panda, which is supposed to be in a zoo or someplace inside Macau somewhere. I jumped on a bus that was on a sign, and I ended up here at the last stop, but not there apparently, so I got on the wrong side. So I'm just gonna go across the street, find out if that's the right way. After waiting a while for the bus and getting more than an eyeful of some Asians engaging in an immensely entertaining array of exercises on some oddly constructed exercise machines, which were mounted right in the middle of a huge walkway, I finally got to my last must-see for the trip, the giant panda. Well, the jury's in. He's not giant, but he is a panda. It might be a presumptuous statement, but it's hard not to believe that everyone loves pandas. And before I actually saw one, I really didn't know why. When you picture them, your mind doesn't immediately race to some scene where there's this amazing creature who's foraging by some beautiful trickling riverbed at the base of some majestic mountainscape on the misty horizon of a forest in central China. It goes right here, where they've been seen for all of the time that I can remember. They've been all but completely captured and stowed away in a makeshift environment of someone's haughty interpretation of the panda's home. So this is obviously how people remember them. And there's good reason for that. In a way, pandas represent the exact mentality of the Asian culture. In my experience, more than anything else in the traditional Asian way of life, people come first. So if farming is needed, forests are cleared. If a rhino's horns are believed to clear up bad skin, they will be plucked from the poached animal and bring in a hefty price. If the testicles of a Bengal tiger follow an ancient religious myth that their consumption will yield unmatched human strength, no evidence of a foregoing extinction will stand in the way of the acquisition of these organs. Even in lieu of the greater human good, if an entire city block stands in the way of a promise of economic prosperity, that block will be scheduled for demolition, many times with only a short notice to its residents. All over Central, Southeast, and Far East Asia, there are very few primary forests left. This is because they've long since been slashed to make way for the enormous population explosions taking place all over this region of the world. And those which remain are an imminent threat by large companies seeking resources and precious metals. But if you're a cute, cuddly, playful animal who happens to do well in a manufactured environment, you stand a pretty good chance of survival here. And even that seems a little threatened. Of the roughly 1,000 pandas left in the world, putting them on the red list for IUCN's list of threatened animals, more than 100 of them are in zoos throughout China and its territories.
I guess that's it. So long from Macau. Thanks for watching. Make sure you go to CyleO'Donnell.com. Pretty cool. This is one of the reasons I like making movies. Taking pictures and visiting new countries.